Omari, we're going to go down the row with our opening statement. So, Omari, if you'd like to come up to the microphone and start with your opening statement, please.
Before I say anything about the city or about my candidacy generally, I want to thank everyone who's in the audience here. What we're seeing right now is something really amazing, right? There are lots of people all over the world, especially with what we're seeing on the news today in Venezuela. There are lots of people who wish that they had a democratic process to participate in. And here you are, participating in the democratic process here in Lake Worth, asserting your rights. So I want to thank you. I appreciate what it is that you're doing. I'm running for re-election because I did exactly what it is that I said I would do. 2 years ago when I ran, I said I would focus on the basic fundamental aspects of government, and to me, that was public safety, that was our public infrastructure, and that was making sure that there is an environment wherein business people and investors feel comfortable parking their capital here in this city. And if we were to fast forward from 2 years ago to today, what is it that we have seen? We've seen our crime rate drop 27% in the first 6 months of last year. It was down 17% the year before that. In addition to that, we've seen the road bond not only go strong, okay, but it's coming in $5 million under budget and ahead of schedule. And many people here have been here long enough to understand that that's a very rare feat for our city government to be under budget and ahead of schedule. But in addition to that, this commission has made the city a place wherein investors feel comfortable investing, and we've seen that all over the city. We've broken ground on 57 single-family homes east of I-95 here in this city. We're going to break ground this year on our first luxury apartment complex on Dixie Highway, which desperately needs more economic activity. In addition to that, there's a building in downtown that was vacant for over 20 years. It was known as the Hummingbird Hotel. This weekend, it will be open for the first time in a very long time, and it's going to be offices. Those people are going to be bringing their clients right into the city. They're going to be bringing themselves into the city, and they will undoubtedly eat lunch at our restaurants and dinner at our restaurants. That's a positive thing. And what I'm here to tell you is that the city is, for the first time in a long time, moving in the right direction. We've got 5 people on the dais who are pointed, generally speaking, in the same direction, and we finally have momentum. So I would appreciate your vote. My name is Commissioner Omari Hardy. Thank you.
Public speaking is not my superpower. My name is Kathy Turk, and I want to thank you all for being here. I am a mom. I am a business owner. I'm a homeowner, and I'm a Lake Worth volunteer. My daughter attends the University of Kentucky, and my son attends Emory University's business school. I started my business in Boca Raton in 2001. We do supplemental staffing and management services. 5 years after starting my business and a lot of long hours later, I have built 2 offices and had 56 full-time benefited employees working for me around the country, as well as contractors. Thank you. Today I work part-time. I'm semi-retired. So shortly after purchasing my home in Lake Worth, I discovered that Wawa had plans to put a 16-pump mega gas station 18 inches from my living room window. So I quickly got in touch and met my commissioners, and for the first time ever had actually attended commission meetings, and I started speaking. Since winning the Wawa fight, I have served on Lake Worth's Planning and Zoning Board. I was the president of the Lake Worth Art League. I'm on the board of the Friends of Lake Worth Parks and Recreation. I work with our schools to help fill their food pantries, and I am the very proud steward of a little free library. I am running for office because I learned how our lack of affluence makes us vulnerable to outside influences. I am a firm believer in smart development, but we must be independent of developers that just want cheap access to 95 and West Palm Beach. We're also susceptible to influences of larger government and even party politics. I believe our dais must be united to provide a strong, consistent local government, that we must focus on Lake Worth's priorities and to protect our assets, enabling their best and most efficient use. There's a lot of talk right now about bonds and penny sales tax and grants. They are nice and we are glad to have them, but they will not last forever. I believe that we need to make smart decisions right now so that we can be financially independent. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. I look forward to it.
Good evening. Richard Gercio, you all know me. We're ex-neighbors here, 929 North Golfview Road and 710 North Golfview Road. Michelle and I lived here for about 5 years with you folks. I'm running for a couple of reasons. I find there's a lot of dysfunction on the dais here. I find a lot of sniping amongst the commissioners. I find us talking about national issues that in the end of the day, 5 people can't vote to change. We can't ban bump stocks, we can't change gerrymandering, we can't do any of that stuff from the dais. We can express our dismay when something like Pulse Nightclub and Parkland happen, but there's really nothing we can do as a commission to change that. I am against changing the name of our city to Lake Worth Beach. We are 106 years old. We have a great history here, and there's no reason for us to change it for other reasons, particularly crime. I've put forth a solution for that. Many of you have heard that. Maybe we'll get to it later on and we'll touch on it. I am for, the only one here, that's for rebuilding the beach, the pool, I'm talking about in my district, for rebuilding the pool at the beach as an aquatic center and doing it properly. I am for proper growth for the city. We have 15, now 14 actually, empty storefronts downtown on Lake Avenue, and hopefully we can get those all filled up. I think we need to give them incentives in order to get folks in here, but we do need to do that. As people drive down Lake Avenue and see empty storefronts, it really doesn't give a very good impression of our downtown. The city has taken on, and tomorrow night there's a meeting for the electric utility, and taken on the task of being the Electric Utility Advisory Board in a sense. As chair of the Finance Advisory Board and the Bond Oversight Committee, you folks know the work that I've done diving into the city's finances and our operations, and I'm the one best suited to sit there and help us through this critical time. And this is a critical time in our history right now. We're right at the moment where we can take everything that we have and go forward with it, but it needs some professional management. We don't have that right there up on the dais right now, and I think I'm the right person to do that. But let's see how the questions go. We'll talk about it later. Thanks.
John Faust has called a timeout.
Right there, talk.
This is not a Faust Fest. Faust Fest is over. Good evening, Lake Worth. In Parrot Cove, my name is Tom Copeland. I'm running for Lake Worth City Commissioner for District 4. And I know I may seem like a new face to some of you here, so I want to just talk a little bit about who I am. I came to Lake Worth first in 2009, and I bought my home with my wife in South Palm Park on the south end in 2014. I work as a marketing and advertising executive for one of the big law firms that we annoy you with the ads on TV and in the outdoors. But we do marketing and advertising. We have 5 people in our office. And we manage in the executive team about 55 people in our law firm. Also, along with my wife Tracy Copeland, who's back there. Hi, sweetie. Thank you so much for coming. It's not always easy to get her out, but she is out tonight. Thank you for that. She's a huge, thank you for all your support. Along with her, we also run a residential real estate brokerage in West Palm Beach as well, residential and commercial as well. I've got a long work history in marketing and advertising. I graduated from the University of Florida with a business degree, and at 21, I sat on my first board, and that board was called the Children's Coalition in West Palm Beach, and we taught arts and culture to young inner-city, at-risk kids. And that's really when I got bit by the service bug. Since then, I've sat on a number of nonprofits. I've also sat on a number of city boards in both West Palm Beach and Lake Worth as well, most recently chairing the Finance Advisory Board for the city of Lake Worth. And in 2016, my friend and I started a nonprofit where we're working to relieve gun violence in and around the Tamarind Corridor. So this is the work ethic that I bring to this seat in District 4, and this is why I'm asking for your vote. A couple things I just want to end with, because I know we'll get into the issues here tonight. But I've been endorsed. I've had the privilege and the honor of being endorsed for a number of different reasons. The Firefighters Association has endorsed me for my vision for the city. The Realtors Association has endorsed me for my practical and working understanding and knowledge of our local economy and how to grow it. And the Palm Beach Post just endorsed me this weekend, in their words, because I'm a high-caliber campaigner who has a wide and diverse array of ideas and priorities that I want to bring to Lake Worth. So I look forward to talking about that tonight. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Robbins, and for your honesty in having to listen to this, because I've read it and all the other debates. So, in all fairness, I'm going to read it to you tonight. Since buying our home in 1998, I have been passionately involved in serving our community. I founded Bryant Park Neighborhood Association, serving as president for 4 years. I was instrumental in founding the NNPC and invested in the historic building at 609 Lake Avenue and Bryant Lake Avenue Company downtown. I participated in Lake Worth's volunteer spirit by serving. I participated in Lake Worth's volunteer spirit by serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission and as chair of Historic Preservation. When I was president of Kiwanis, we created and helped fund a new soccer field at Sunset Ridge neighborhood. Really, I'm not going to read the rest of it, but I do want to tell you that salesmanship is important. I'm not a salesman, I'm a doer. And I want to continue to serve Lake Worth and do what I have been doing as a team on the dais. It's a campaign ploy to think that we can't exchange ideas and disagree and not move forward for the good of Lake Worth. All of us up there, all 5 people, honestly have the good of Lake Worth moving forward at our heart, and I want to continue that service. So I'm asking for your vote. It is terribly important. Lake Avenue is on the upswing. Lake Worth is on the upswing, and I want to continue that work, working with the other presently 4 commissioners that are there. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. So we're going to get on with our question. We mentioned we had 5 questions. The questions originated from the board. We came up with a whole bunch of questions that were important to the city, but also to Parrot Cove, and had the difficult task of whittling them down to just 5. All right, so we're going to start with Kathy this time, moving down the line. What are your plans for the pool casino complex? And in that, does it include a public-private partnership? 1 minute per question.
Okay, so having served on the Planning and Zoning Board, the one thing, every time I wanted a playground, every time I wanted a park, every time I wanted to add anything to our zoning, I was told this comprehensive plan is coming. It's going to tell us where to put the parks, where to put the recreation. We have no plan. I would like to see a comprehensive plan that will tell us, do we need a pool? Where do we need the pool? Now, obviously, we have a big old hole sitting over there, and nothing says light like a hole that's been empty for 2 years, so we do need to take care of this. However, right now we're shooting in the dark because a lot of people got together and signed a petition, and God bless them. I appreciate it. I don't know what the questioning was, but I would like to see a comprehensive plan so we know not only what to do with the pool, but do we want kayak rentals or kayak lockers? Do we want another community center? Do we need a green walking space or a green bike path? What are all the things we need? When we have a picture of what we need, we can then figure out the financing for each of them. We can get developers to help us with their, to pitch in on these projects. We can get grants for what we don't have. And if we need to use penny sales tax and they say that we need a pool at the beach, I'll be the first one to vote for it. Thank you.
Well, as I just said, I believe that we need to rebuild the pool at the beach, not fix what's there, tear it out and rebuild the whole thing, the entire complex, and make an aquatic center out of it. We could use penny sales tax for that, but if we wanted to get a little bit more elaborate, we on the Finance Advisory Board, when I was the actual chair of the Finance Advisory Board, voted unanimously to support a proper public-private partnership at the beach. That means someone comes in and leases the dune from us, takes in all the revenue, and pays us rent every year. We've had a couple of people say that they would do this, and we've just chased them all and scared them all away. We can rebuild the pool and the complex, the pool itself, and do some of the fixes that Herman has suggested with penny sales tax money. And I'm glad to see Commissioner Robinson has embraced in his podcast on WJNO my parking plan at the beach, that if you buy an annual membership to the pool, you qualify for a parking pass that allows you to park anywhere in the parking lot for the same $40 that we pay now. We have a contract with the county that says we have to offer that to everyone in the county because they gave us $5 million. We offer it to them. The worst thing that can happen is they all come and use our pool and use our lot. That's it.
Well, okay, so on the pool complex, I don't ever remember being being unanimous about supporting a pool at the complex. I haven't been able to support a pool at the complex, and here's why. There's somebody here in this room right now, I won't mention them, but when I was thinking about running for city commissioner, it's one of the people that I sat down and talked to heart to heart, and this man who's a longtime Lake Worthian said to me, Tom, you have to understand the history of the city so that you don't repeat the same mistakes in the future. And he was absolutely right. And as your city commissioner, I will not repeat the same mistakes of history. That pool cannot make sense on that land any longer. We have spent $3.5 million on that pool over the last 10 years in resurfacing, rebuilding, and fixing, and opening it, and closing it. And here we are, 2017, it was closed again for the last and final time. Why? Because it's structurally deficient. If we've got to tear the pool out and start something new anyway, then let's move on into the future of the city of Lake Worth. And let's move on. Look, let's move on from the pool. I say we bring the pool into the mainland. That's it. Thanks very much.
I'm looking very much forward to having a swimming pool, a family-friendly pool that's going to be inviting to all our residents and a tourist attraction for Palm Beach County. If we're into marketing, we need to have something to market, and a pool and on the beach, on our we have to recognize that the casino complex is our premier park, and the county agrees with that. They've invested in it already. The $3 million was mentioned as maintenance on a derelict pool. We need to invest, and we need to make some decisions. It's been empty for 2 years. My purpose on the commission is to come to decisions. We've ignored making decisions for too long, and I look forward to making some hard decisions on moving that whole complex forward. And if it needs public-private partnership to manage just the pool, I would take a look at it. But the park is our park, and it's not going to be managed by anybody else but us.
Well, call me crazy, but as far as I understand, we have public-private partnerships at the beach right now. They're called leases. We have several tenants at the beach right now. So I'm not philosophically opposed to a public-private partnership as long as it makes sense for the residents of Lake Worth and as long as it maintains public access to the beach and public access to the pool, not a private pool club. What I will say is I've had the privilege of teaching civics to about 100 7th graders in public school up at Roosevelt Community Middle School, and what I teach them is that this is a representative democracy. Of course, you elect people to use their judgment. Yes, there's that model of leadership, but also you elect people to listen to you. And we have about 800 residents put their name on a petition and put that on our desk and say, we want a pool at the beach. And I believe that it's my job to listen to them. And so the statement that if they tell us that we need a pool at the beach, I believe they, the important they, the residents, have already told us what it is that they want. And so I plan to deliver on that. I would like to see a pool at the beach. I would like to see a new pool. I would like to see a pool that has something for a range of users. Something for families, something for kids, something for lap swimmers and people who do water aerobics. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for your efficiency. You're coming up and knocking those out. This is like a speed dating thing. So thank you guys. That's very concise. Okay, moving along. So we're going to be starting with Richard on this one. And I just to remind everyone, if you want me to repeat the question, just so you have the exact wording down any time, just let me know. What ideas do you have to improve the occupancy downtown, and what can the city do within its power to bring in new businesses?
Well, there's nothing we can do about keeping people from keeping their properties vacant. There's no law that we can have, and Omar's pointed out many times that sorts of laws in other cities just haven't worked. We provide a vacancy tax on some properties. What we need to do is just fix what's going on here. We need to clean up Dixie Highway and Federal Highway. We need to get rid of the pimps and the hookers and the johns and the drug dealers and the addicts. I'm a member of the Lake Worth Advocacy Group where we go to First Appearance. We had a sting a week and a half ago where Some PDSO went out there acting as Johns, and we arrested 5 prostitutes. We have them. They have a no-contact order with the city of Lake Worth, actually with District 14, which is the city of Lake Worth. And that's the sort of thing we need to do to attract investment. We can't have the old Ritz-Carlton, the old Palm Beach, sending people to Dixie Highway to have a little bit of fun at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not the kind of image that we need, but that's the kind of image that we have. So we need to clean that up, and then we'll be able to bring some more, I think, some more people into town and spark some investment here. But there's nothing we can do about empty storefronts forcibly. Nothing at all.
Well, one of the reasons that I've gone to some endorsements recently was because I do have a plan for downtown. And that plan is a parking and mobility plan for our downtown and also our thoroughfares and our corridors that lead into downtown. So what do I mean by that? So we know we have a parking problem in downtown. We've had it for a long time. What we need to do as a city is do what other cities do, which is fix their downtown parking problems. We have a problem with wayfinding in our downtown. We have a problem with lighting in and around our downtown. We have a problem with no hotel in our downtown. So when people do come to find us, it's difficult to discern where's our public parking lots, where aren't our public parking lots, what's on residential, what's not on residential. What ends up happening is that it ends up getting filled and congested in and around the downtown corners because they're small streets, and then people turn around and they get frustrated and they leave. I'm not willing to see that happen anymore. So the answer is that you do what other cities have done when they need to grow up and they need to grow and they want to attract new investment in their downtown. You give business owners what they want. What they want is access, they want people, and they want utility rates that they can afford. Thank you very much.
That plan is in process, so we're working on a parking issue. We don't have a parking problem now. We have a parking issue that we're addressing through the CRA and cooperation. What I want to do is incentivize by doing what we can do by incentivizing utility rates for the empty stores for a period of time, which can be worked out. What I don't want to do, which has been mentioned by my opponent, Mr. Copeland, wants to raise the height limit on all our entryways to the city, and I don't want to be a Delray. I want to be able to market our city as a quaint seaside town that has an authentic downtown. If we could generate 4 major events like the street painting, celebrate J Street as a music street, and 2 others, we would be ahead of everybody in Palm Beach County.
When I look at the downtown, I see 2 things. One of them is a high-class problem. The other of them is a problem that we can fix really through our zoning code. So the first thing I'll say is that we have a downtown that's in transition. Okay, yes, it is true that there are vacant storefronts on Lake Avenue, but it's also true that we've seen activity in places in downtown that we haven't seen in a long time. I think what used to be the Hummingbird Hotel, which is now going to be some micro offices, I think is a prime example of that. We have a new Mediterranean restaurant on the corner of Lake and Dixie. We have a clothing store about to come in at 705 Lake Avenue where Hoffman's Chocolate used to be. Downtown's transition. Vacancies are a part of the story of a downtown. And that is, by the way, a high-class problem. What I would say, though, is that, in my opinion, there is not the critical mass of human beings living in and around the downtowns to sustain economic activity there. So what we need, if we want to have these storefronts open up, we need customers living there within a half mile who can patronize those shops before they go to work and who can patronize those shops when they come home. We need to change our zoning code to allow more housing in and around the downtown. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So there is no one answer for our downtown issues. Parking is a problem. Personally, again, I'm not cool enough to go when it's super busy, so I don't have a parking problem. I know where to park, but I know that businesses say we have a parking problem. I know that commercial building owners say that people aren't coming because we have a parking problem, so we have a parking problem. If it's not today, it's going to be tomorrow, so we do need to take care of that. The thing that I also truly astounded with is how dirty our city is. Yeah. We have a street sweeper that comes through, does not spray water, instead sheds dirt our cars. We need a pressure washer, something fierce. And we need some landscaping updates. I think if we can start with that, we can deal with some marketing, and Omari is right too. We do need to bring in some more density into our downtown area. Thank you.
Historic preservation affects most of Parrot Cove. In fact, almost the entire neighborhood does fall into that, except for a small strip along the golf course. What are your thoughts on the current process, the recent changes, and what would you do to improve it? Start with Mr. Cove.
Sure, thanks. I just want to clear something up. In the last debate, what I suggested is that if we want to get rid of some of the problems in our downtown thoroughfares that lead into downtown, so you think about our city thoroughfares, Dixie, Federal, 10th, 6th, and then Lake and Lucerne west of Dixie. What I suggested is that if you want development, as we all agree that we want, you do have to raise your height restrictions in and around those. I never said we should raise our height restrictions in downtown Lake Worth. I just wanted to clear that up real fast. Now onto the Historic Preservation Resource Board. I've had the pleasure of sitting in on that board a number of times. That board is comprised of some incredible professionals. These are professional architects, these are designers, these are city planners, these are people that know their business in and out. And I have heard from people that they've had problems with getting certain things done in the historic districts. I live in a historic district myself. But what I'd like to see is I'd like to see the codes simplified to some extent. I don't think we need to tear our codes up and start all over, but I do think that there's some efficiencies and simplifications that can go on. But I would actually lean on that board to find out what some of those answers are so that we can fix some of those problems that we know we have to just create some more efficiencies. Thank you.
Historic preservation is an economic engine to Lake Worth. I was chairman of historic preservation. Not an easy job when you have to make decisions about neighbors' properties. We have passed guidelines for historic preservation that are much clearer and distinct in what you can and can't do. It still comes down to a case-by-case judgment on property, and the board needs to make those judgments with respect to the property, the individual property, and the effect on the neighborhood and the effect on the town. I'm a supporter of historic preservation, and I think it works as best it can when we have to regulate construction and people's taste and development of property. So I look forward to historic preservation's success, continued success.